The latest on the SEC and the transfer portal, and we'll have visits with the GOATs, Tim Tebow and Danny Wuerffel. Locked on SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Shout out to our everydayers. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern. All right, this is a weekend edition. I woke up today, I didn't know what the hell day it was. These last 2 weeks have been like, where are we? When are we? But figured we'd drop a special weekend episode because there's so much happening in the transfer portal when it comes to the SEC, and wanted to get you guys caught up on everything. So here's the deal. The transfer portal officially opened late Thursday night into Friday morning, so depending on what time zone you're in. But it will close on Friday, January 16th. That means, look, there will be no more portals this offseason. This is the one portal. So if you're changing teams, you need to get your name into this portal sometime in these next 2 weeks. Now, the national championship game will be played on Monday, January 19th. As I understand it, teams still competing in that game get an additional 5 days after their season ends to enter the portal. So why is that relevant? Well, it's relevant if Ole Miss gets to the national championship. Things are going to get very weird because you got to think there's several guys that want to go to LSU from that team. Whatever happens, it's just going to be very interesting to see. Again, they get an extra 5 days after that. But everybody else, by 2 Fridays from now, you have to have your name into the portal if you're moving. If you're not, you're stuck. You're staying at the school you are. So let's dive into it. Let's get you caught up on all the latest news that is happening around the SEC and the portal. And we start with the report that came out. Mizzou is the only school to watch in the Austin Simmons pursuit. Austin Simmons announcing a few days ago he is going to enter the transfer portal. The Ole Miss now backup quarterback to Trinidad Chambliss, and he is heading to the transfer portal. On3 declaring Mizzou as the only school to watch in his recruitment. Of course, he started this season as the starter in Oxford and ended up getting hurt. Trinidad Chambliss took over and never looked back. So we will certainly keep an eye on this. Pete Thamel also joining that report, saying that Mizzou is the favorite to land Simmons. Remember, Bo Prabula came over from Penn State this offseason and earned that starting job at Mizzou. He ended up getting hurt. They were down to their Sam Horn got hurt in the opener, so they were down to their third-string quarterback and Matt Zollers by the end of the year. But as we saw Matt Zollers in the limited playing time, and nice recruit, but he's still very young and very raw. So Eli Drakewitz and Chip Lindsey's new OC going with some experience in trying to land Austin Simmons from Ole Miss. We caught up with Austin Simmons at Georgia and Ole Miss Sugar Bowl Media Day, and here was a little bit of that conversation. All right, a couple of minutes here with Ole Miss quarterback Austin Simmons, and man, it's been a crazy season for the whole team and you and everything. What's this journey been like this season so far?
Really just taking it day by day right now. We're at the Sugar Bowl, really just embracing the moment, really just just being ready for any moment for me to step in and play.
It's obviously the what happened with Trinidad taking over, but it looks like, man, you've been such a team guy. I mean, because that's easy to be the guy who gets angry about it or whatever, but it's been cool to see you supporting him and him supporting you along this journey this year.
Yeah, to me, that's all I can do, honestly, and just keep on moving forward, because at the end of the day, you never know when your name's going to be called. Like last year, just like that Georgia game, any moment, it's going to be an unexpected type of moment for me to jump in, just go play a game,
Last thing for you, obviously, transfer portal going to open very soon. You had a decision to make. Have you had thoughts on that? Is it going to kind of sit down
and talk about that right now?
Gotcha. All right.
Appreciate you.
Awesome. Thanks for the time, man. Appreciate it, man. Now, important to remember, that was a tough question I put on him at the very end of the interview. He was very nice about it. So, kind of a little awkward there with the answer, but it's because he knew, right? This didn't just happen. We knew a couple days ago that, Austin Simmons was going to be leaving Ole Miss, and likely, his agent had already talked to Mizzou, and that was already in the works. So, best of luck to him, and wait for that official news to come down. Austin Simmons expected to land at Mizzou. How about the big-time wide receiver Cam Coleman? He has reportedly lined up 5 transfer visits, including 3 to SEC schools. He will make visits to SEC rivals Texas and Texas A&M, followed by visits to Alabama, USC, and Texas Tech. Pete Thamel's report coming on the heels of an On3 report that had Alabama joining the list of schools going after him. And I was told a lot of folks at Texas are very, very aggressive on trying to get Cam Coleman to come and pair with Arch Manning. I mean, that is just it'd be ridiculous. And you've seen a couple of Texas wide receivers enter the portal already. You know, you have to wonder if they're clearing the space, clearing the way, going, we need Cam Coleman in burnt orange. So, again, Alabama seems to be very bold on their pursuit for Cam Coleman as well. He is an Alabama native. He is considered the number 1 overall player in the portal by several different services. And look at his production. Despite the subpar quarterback play at Auburn these last couple seasons, he's been outstanding in his 2 years on the Plains. So Cam Coleman, a guy that a lot of folks are going to want to get, and we'll see where he ends up. That will be a prized addition for whichever school lands his services. How about Texas A&M? Marcel Reed, the quarterback, making it official on Friday night, announcing his return to the Aggies for 2026. In Michael Jordan style, Reed's announcement simply said, I'm back. He did add to his Instagram post, let's finish what was started, Aggie land. The Aggies, of course, historic season, started 11-0 and marked the first college football playoff appearance for the first time in school history. And while Marcel Reed did not play great in their home playoff loss, he still had a fantastic season. And I got a feeling his name's going to be right up there with Arch Manning on that preseason Heisman watch list for 2026. So keep an eye out for that. Some other names in the portal. On3's Hayes Fawcett reporting Auburn wide receiver Malcolm Simmons was planning a visit to Kentucky. He also has trips to Texas A&M and Arkansas as well. And the Georgia Bulldogs, also a name that was added to the list of contenders for Malcolm Simmons. He is rated the number 8 wide receiver in the transfer portal. So again, Malcolm Simmons, former Auburn wide receiver, Kentucky, A&M, Arkansas, Georgia, all on his list of teams that are interested. So the SEC looking for, a lot of these guys go from one SEC school to another. You go from having him on your team to having to deal with them in the conference. Simmons, by the way, was a top 200 recruit in Hugh Freeze's first recruiting class. He'll be a true junior next season. How about his former teammate, Auburn wide receiver Perry Thompson? He has a long list of schools showing interest. He reportedly said that Baylor is coming after him hard, while Georgia and Ole Miss are 2 more schools he mentioned showing interest. So Georgia, Ole Miss possibly in on Perry Thompson if he doesn't end up at Baylor. How about Kentucky head coach Will Stein? He is still coaching as the OC at Oregon in the college football playoff, but the new Wildcats coach wasting no time in trying to build his team for 2026. We talked a few weeks ago about quarterback Cutter Boley saying he wanted to come back to Kentucky. Well, since then, I think Will Stein looked at it and said, you know what, we want a quarterback with a little bit more experience. Carter Boley entered the transfer portal, and the Wildcats are reported to be interested in Arizona State quarterback Sam Leavitt, as well as TCU quarterback Josh Hoover. Now, there's some believe with Leavitt set to visit Kentucky that the Wildcats very well may land Sam Leavitt. He was also drawing interest from Lane Kiffin and LSU, but some believe out there Boley and Leavitt could simply swap places. Cutter Boley could end up at Arizona State. Sam Leavitt could wind up at Kentucky, and it sounds like Josh Hoover could end up at Indiana. So in addition to that, Kentucky looking at Malcolm Simmons like we talked about, Mizzou wide receiver Marquise Johnson, Texas running back C.J. Baxter high on the list for Kentucky. That one would be very interesting. C.J. Baxter is healthy, a very productive running back. In addition, Friday night, Kentucky linebacker Sam Green announced he will return for another season, and Kentucky DB DJ Waller and running back Dante Dowdell entered the portal there. How about former Auburn and Oklahoma quarterback Jackson Arnold reportedly drawing interest from Dan Mullen and UNLV out in the Mountain West? CBS Sports pinning UNLV as the early team to watch for Sam Darnold's services. I'm sorry, Jackson Arnold's services, not Sam Darnold. Jackson Arnold. Mullen, of course, won the Mountain West championship at UNLV this past season. They scored fewer than 30 points just once all year. So that's an offense that Arnold could certainly thrive in. How about Auburn, now projected as the favorite to land USF quarterback Byram Brown in the portal? Both Pete Nakos and Steve Wiltfong logging predictions that Alex Golesh will be reunited with his former quarterback. So expect that news to perhaps become official in the coming days. Byron Brown going to be the quarterback at Auburn. Now, who's he going to throw the ball to? We'll see, because all those receivers at Auburn all hit in the portal. But that'll be a big-time get there for Auburn and the folks on the Plains. How about former Florida quarterback DJ Lagway? He is drawing a ton of interest from Baylor, as we've talked about before. There was a report that he's also getting interest from Mizzou, Louisville, and Virginia. Now, of course, if Mizzou lands Austin Simmons, then I believe Mizzou would be out of that. But Lagway ranks as the third best quarterback and 10th best overall player in the portal, according to some of the services. How about at LSU? Lane Kiffin has lined up a visit with Cincinnati quarterback Brendan Sorsby. Sorsby was visiting Texas Tech first, and it appears to be a two-horse race between Texas Tech and LSU. Now, Sorsby's girlfriend, it was reported she plays volleyball. She already announced her transfer to Texas Tech. So many believe that Tech is the favorite to land Sorsby. ESPN ranks him as their number one ranked portal player. So, look, LSU, they are also set to host NC State wide receiver Terrell Anderson, UAB wide receiver Iverson Hooks, Wisconsin wide receiver Eugene Hilton, along with Penn State edge Chaz Coleman. So we know Lane Kiffin, one of the big draws to go to LSU, is that they were going to invest a ton of money in the transfer portal, and they have a ton of money to spend. In addition, at LSU, Lane Kiffin and the Tigers announced several re-signings, including tight end Trey'Dez Green, safety Tamarcus Cooley, cornerback DJ Pickett, and linebacker Whit Weeks, all announcing they will be back at LSU. So, and Harlem Berry as well, they're running back. A few other notes here. LSU offensive lineman Ori Williams plans to visit Auburn and Kentucky. Saturday morning, we found out LSU running back Caden Durham is entering the portal. Now, we had Caden Durham on the show back last January, and he had just gotten a fresh tattoo on his arm. It's got the LSU logo and the eye of the tiger on his arm. So, look, I guess that's why they make tattoo removal now, but Caden Durham entering the portal will be moving on from LSU. A lot of folks say there's a lot of smoke that Ole Miss running back Kejuan Lacey could end up at LSU next year with Charlie Weiss Jr. and Lane Kiffin, so keep an eye on that. Auburn linebacker Robert Woodyard is drawing interest from Texas. He played in every game last season at 47 tackles and 2 sacks. He's also set to visit Kentucky and Mizzou. Texas is also, or the Texas Longhorns are eyeing Michigan offensive tackle Andrew Sprague. That news came out on Saturday morning. Ole Miss, they are set to visit with Florida State wide receiver Javon Boggs. Arkansas starting right tackle Amarian Harris announced he is entering the portal. He's a redshirt junior from Little Rock, was the number 3 player in Arkansas's 2021 class. He started over 30 games, so he's going to draw a lot of suitors there. Also saw Arkansas as a school to watch for ECU quarterback Caton Hauser. That's an interesting one because that's a guy with a lot of experience. Georgia D lineman Jordan Thomas is entering the portal. He will have 3 years of eligibility remaining. Texas wide receiver Parker Livingston entering the portal. He redshirted his freshman year, or his redshirt freshman season, rather, this past year at 500 yards and 6 touchdowns. Seems like an odd move because of the chemistry he and Arch Manning had developed. But again, clearing some room up if Cam Coleman comes over. Florida wide receiver Trey Wilson is set to visit both Texas A&M and LSU. So Eugene Wilson, he goes by Trey. Florida did re-sign 5-star freshman wide receiver Dallas Wilson. So some big news there. He was big once he got healthy this year. Florida running back Trayon Webb announced he's entering the portal. Alabama edge Noah Carter will enter the portal. Oklahoma starting corner Gentry Williams announced he will enter the portal. 3-year starter has 47 career tackles at 4 INTs in 30 career games. He'll have 1 year of eligibility remaining. Also, Oklahoma quarterback Michael Hawkins entered the portal. He is visiting Virginia, West Virginia, along with his brother Malik Hawkins. They are expected to transfer together somewhere. Colorado State tight end Rocky Beers has a visit scheduled with Oklahoma. Hope the Sooners land him. That is a hell of a name. And Tennessee, they are set to Penn State D lineman Xavier Gilliam is down to Indiana, Notre Dame, and Tennessee, as well as Wake Forest D lineman Mateen Ibarogba, I guess is how you say it. He will visit Tennessee. So that is the latest going on there in the portal. A few other nuggets here for you. Mississippi State, they finished up their season with their bowl loss to Wake Forest, but all eyes were on their quarterback, Kamario Taylor, suffered a gruesome-looking leg injury, looking to make a play with under 2 minutes to go, took a hit from a Wake Forest defender, and Taylor was reportedly only seen with a little bit of a limp walking to the bus after the game. And head coach Jeff Lebby saying that they think they avoided any significant injury. So that's big news there. Look, I know we're heading into the offseason, but any kind of ACL tear or anything like that would set you back for, potentially the start of the season, depending on the length of the injury. So, again, sounds like they dodged a bullet there. And Kamario Taylor, dynamic freshman, expected to be the future star there at Mississippi State. So, again, the hopes are high there. Now, look, the SEC, they finished up going 1-5 in non-playoff bowl games this postseason. Not a great showing for the conference overall. Losing bowl games to the likes of Wake Forest, Iowa, Illinois, Virginia, and Houston. Texas, of course, was the lone winner, beating Michigan. A few other notes here. Tennessee quarterback Joey Aguilar, he had successful surgery on Friday to remove a benign tumor that had been pushing on his biceps. He kept the situation quiet, according to reports. Full recovery expected in 8 weeks. Of course, he is still waiting on an NCAA eligibility decision on if he'll get one more year to return to the Vols. Also, Tennessee corner Ricky Gibson entering the portal. Remember, he was hurt for much of this year. He will have 2 years of eligibility remaining. I'm sure some folks will be looking his way. And lastly, Shane Beamer taking a shot at Lane Kiffin yesterday, saying Kiffin did not call him to ask permission to talk about hiring his D-line coach Sterling Lucas before pulling the trigger. So add Shane Beamer to the long list of people who are not a fan of Lane Kiffin. And one more note, Georgia DB's analyst David Metcalf expected to head to Western Kentucky. And Texas looking to add former Georgia Tech defensive coordinator Blake Gideon to Will Muschamp's staff there in Austin. So, all right. Thank you guys for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Coming up next, you don't want to miss our visit with Tim Tebow, the GOAT. We talked about some of the great stuff he's doing with Allstate, as well as our visit with him talking about John Summerall and his excitement for the future of the Florida Gators. That's coming your way next. Hey guys, Rugiet Ready. It is a next generation prescription treatment created to support both the brain and the body so you can feel present, confident, and ready when the moment matters. Rugiet Ready, it combines 3 clinically proven ingredients in 1 mint. It dissolves under your tongue so it absorbs fast. The science behind Rugiet Ready stands out. 3 clinically proven ingredients in 1 formula designed for both mental and physical readiness. You connect with a board-certified doctor online, and everything ships discreetly to your door. It's easy to understand why over 150,000 men have already made the switch. If you've been thinking about taking that next step, now is the time. Head to rugiet.com/lockedoncollege. That's rugiet.com/lockedoncollege, and you'll get 15% off your order for a limited time. Rugiet Ready. Feel present, feel confident, feel ready. rugiet.com/lockedoncollege. Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On SEC your first listen of the day. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You've already lived your team every day. Now you can take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club and get Locked On SEC with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 for an entire year. Go to lockedonsec.supercast.com to check out the link in the show notes to learn more.
An honor to be joined by, of course, the great, the legendary Tim Tebow down here in New Orleans, of course, with all the great stuff that he's always constantly doing when it comes to the Allstate AFCA Good Works team. And then, of course, our guy Danny Wuerffel's in the house as well. All the great stuff with the Allstate Wuerffel Trophy. And we're going to talk all about it. But Tim, welcome in, man. Great to talk with you.
Thanks for being here. It's awesome. It's
Absolutely.
a fun day for us.
We've come out here the last couple of years. It's always fun to see all these student athletes, young guys, wanting to get to work in their community, wanting to give back.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about why this is so special to you.
Well, it's so special because of the difference that they're making in so many lives. And today is special because we get to do it together. So many of these young men that have done it in their communities. And I was just talking to a few of them before we're starting the event. And they were saying, hey, we just finished up this Christmas giveaway in Atlanta. We just finished up this. And there's so many incredible things that they're doing. And it just doesn't get recognized a lot. And that's why I'm so grateful to be a part of this and for what Allstate and the AFCA Good Works team is not just celebrating, but recognizing for the public, because I also believe it's inspiring for more people to want to step in and be a part of making a difference and not just playing a game.
Yeah, it's you always hear about professional athletes, guys who get to the NFL and they start charities and all this, but to me it's always more pure when it's the guys that are in college. They don't have to do this. They're giving their time and want to do this.
And they're busy and they're being pulled in a lot of directions, and with NIL and transfer portal and all of these different things, so many of these young men are actually using that to be a blessing for others, and they're using their NIL and they're using the resources that they have been blessed with to be a blessing, and I think it's just so special special, and there's just not many places that recognize this. That's why this is just so fun. And then you get to really see their love and passion for making a difference in person when we all get to come together, and that's it's really fun.
Yeah, I think what's so fun about this is not just the athletes giving back, but seeing the young kids and the looks on their faces, getting to see these big athletes, getting to work with them one-on-one, and that's really the cool part.
It is, and for some of the breakout sessions that we'll have is you'll get to answer, and the team will get to answer the one-on-one questions. They'll get to play games. They'll get to spend a lot of special time with, so many of these young boys and girls that need a role model, need people to care about them, need to know that just how loved and valuable that they are to so many people, and you have no idea how that can change a life.
It's got to be cool getting to work with Danny Wuerffel, a guy who was, Heisman Trophy winner at Florida, then you end up doing it years later, but a guy that just epitomizes wanting to give back, and especially in this community in New Orleans.
Well, for me, he wasn't just a Heisman Trophy winner, a national champion. He was a hero to me. He was a role model. I grew up getting to watch him, and my parents always put him in front of me every time they could, because they were like, you need a good role model like this. And so I got to see every game, every play he ever played at Florida. And I even remember when he was a visitor to our church in Jacksonville, Florida, after the service, I was probably the 116th kid in line. And he waited and he signed for everybody, and I still have that signature on the church bulletin.
That's so cool. I'd be remiss if we didn't talk a little football. Give me your thoughts. John Summerall coming to Florida.
Well, I'm excited. I liked him when we hired him. I liked him more as I've gotten to know him. He's got a contagious energy. He has a mindset that is also very contagious. He just loves ball. He loves recruiting. He loves the tough side of football. I think that's really important for Florida. I think one of the things that when Florida has been good, we've had an edge. There's been a differentiator that was so clear. I think under Spurrier, it was this fun and gun, confidence. Some people would say arrogance, but that's just like, it doesn't matter who shows up against us. We're gonna sling this thing all over the ballpark. And then under Coach Meyer, it was the edge more of, it's going to be 4 to 6 seconds of relentless effort and energy, and we're going to take you into deep waters, and you won't be able to swim, right? And it was this toughness mentality, and I think that however you look about it, there was an edge, a confidence that those teams played with, and I think for Florida to get back to that, they got to create whatever new version of that's needed, and I think that at least I hope that Coach Summerall can be the guy to do that.
We've seen some changes, obviously, across the SEC. Lane Kiffin going to LSU and Alex Golesh going to Auburn.
Yeah.
And a lot of those fan bases kind of freaking out Florida as well with all these players. They're going to the portal, It's kind of to be expected. And this is kind of where we are in college football, right?
It is, but it's not even just the new coaches in places. It's everywhere. It's trying to keep a team and keep a staff together and keep a roster together is harder now than it's ever been. And so I think more coaches and staffs are actually going to get used to it and kind of plan for it, and then also plan on, kind of once the season ends, how do we already start to look at creating and building a new roster for the next year? Because before it was guys that are going to get drafted or done with eligibility, and now it's like, all right, we got to make room for, with this many guys we're going to expect to leave, and this many guys we're going to go get, not just in true freshmen, but in the portal. So it's a different way of thinking. That's why I also think the GM role is even more important than it's ever been in college sports as well.
It's crazy. Your head will be spinning if you try to keep up with all this stuff.
Is.
It's crazy. Quick thought, the best part of this event is always centered around the Sugar Bowl. Give me a quick thought on Georgia versus Ole Miss, the rematch.
Well, I think it's awesome to see this rematch. One of the best regular season games. Ole Miss came out, and I loved their scheme offensively. I loved the way that they put some of the Georgia defenders in binds. They used that was scheme. They used the same plays with different formations. They were so precise what they did offensively. But the biggest thing is, can their defense come up with enough stops? And they had chances. They had actually had quite a few third downs and third medium to third and long that Georgia executed. And if Georgia can convert at a high clip on third down, it's gives Georgia a lot of favor. They have to win. Ole Miss has to get them to third, medium, and long, and they have to be able to win. Or Ole Miss does, because I just think that the way that Georgia is playing defensively, I don't think you can expect Ole Miss to go up and down the field the way they did round one. Yeah. And so Ole Miss's defense has to come up with some of those big stops. And they got the players to do it. They were in some of the right positions. Now you got to come down with some of those big plays.
I talked with a couple of the Georgia players on Tuesday at Media Day, and they were saying how this defense, it hasn't been just improved on the field, but they said at practice, those guys have been bringing it, the physicality, and they're like, we knew they were getting better.
Well, they're still one of the teams that actually have, like, I don't know if you can say this, but the Bloody Tuesdays, right. And they actually have physical practices, and it's pretty incredible. We've said this for years, but I feel like it's so important to reiterate. Kirby Smart isn't just a great coach, he's a great teacher of young men, and you watch through all these years how they are week 1 to how they are week 10 to how they are when they get to a bowl game or college football playoff. They improve. Their players, yes, they recruit well. They're very gifted. But you could see fundamentally, schematically, how they improve throughout the season. And I think he's one of the best in the business to do that.
Yeah.
And not just the recruiting, not just the scheme, but the coaching up of these players. And that's also a reason that you see, like, the Philadelphia Eagles defense is kind of like the Georgia defense,
Georgia, yeah.
You know?
It's been fascinating to watch. Give me a quick thought. You had a great season on SEC Nation. Was there a favorite memory or moment that stood out to you this year?
I would say probably the least favorite for my wife was when I crowd surfed at Georgia, because she was like, what if they dropped you? And I was like, I didn't even really think about it. I trusted them. Probably shouldn't always trust Georgia fans, but they did a great job. Also, probably not my favorite, but losing the bet to Jason Aldean and Luke Bryan and then having to put on a Georgia jersey, also not my favorite. Flipping my pick from Texas to Florida and then having the tank top underneath the shirt for Florida, that was fun. But yeah, we just had such a fun season. Man, I love this game so much, and the passion and the energy. And I really hope with all these changes that one thing that we keep is the things that make this game so different. And I think it's the passion, the traditions, and the rivalries.
Yeah.
And we need to do everything we can, in my opinion, to keep those.
Absolutely. And then again, it's good players and good people that hopefully will keep the train on the tracks and keep that thing going. One more time, we'll talk about Allstate and the AFCA Good Works team being down here. You guys named the team, and then of course we got to talk with Michael Taff a couple weeks ago, who's just a genuinely good dude.
He's awesome. I got to hang out with him for quite a few hours at the Heisman and all the festivities around that, and it's hard to say that you've met anyone that's more impressive as a young man. I think the world of him, of his play on the field, but his character off. He's so deserving of being named team captain and receiving the Wuerffel Trophy, and he's a rightful recipient of it. And I think he's got an incredible future on the field, a greater future off.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. That's one. If any scouts out there, NFL scouts, just go ahead and mark him down.
Yes,
that's the
take
guy
him. You want him not just as a player, but you want him as an infectious character and passion, and he's someone that's going to make that whole team better.
Yeah.
Whatever team he's on.
No doubt. Tim, always good to see you, man. Always fun to be out here. And, of course, with the great folks here at Allstate and the AFCA Good Works team and Danny Wuerffel and the Wuerffel Trophy. Always great stuff. And we'll do it again next year, man.
Chris, thank you, man. Right. Appreciate it. Enjoyed it.
Right after this.
Thank you, guys.
Hey guys, Fridays already feel different during basketball season, but FanDuel, they are making them feel even better. Every Friday night before a game tips off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with their NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before all the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern, so that's 5 to 6:30 Central. That has become appointment viewing with the NBA Happy Hour. Open the FanDuel app during Happy Hour. It's always going to bring something new, from boosts to bonuses and plenty of surprises. It is easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. The timing is perfect right before the games, right before the weekend starts, and it adds energy to your Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour. It's every Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, a whole lot of Friday energy. That's the NBA Happy Hour, only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA.
Down here in New Orleans, always fun to catch up with this guy. Of course, always doing good work out in their community and working with young guys who also are doing some good work in the community. Of course, he is the legend Danny Wuerffel, of course, here on behalf of the Allstate AFCA Good Works team, and of course the Allstate Wuerffel Trophy. Danny, always good to see you, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Talk about this today. It's always fun to get out here and see these kids, and down here in the heart of the Desire neighborhood, and getting to see firsthand a lot of these student athletes from around the country here giving back in a community where just puts big smiles on kids' faces here.
Yeah, this is like a combination of multiple important things in my life. I'm actually a little bit emotional this morning. And first, as you mentioned it, the AFCA Allstate Good Works team coming to New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl. You got all these amazing young men. The combined program with the Wuerffel Trophy now coming under the Allstate umbrella has just been an incredible partnership. So we've just got a lot of momentum on that front. The place where we are actually is incredible, a lot of history and memories for me. This is the original home of Desire Street Ministries. I'm still the executive director of Desire Street. I got engaged about 50 yards from here in a warehouse in 1999 on this property. We built the original building, and then that was ruined in Katrina, and then we rebuilt this community center. And then even more so, though, the folks that are running it now were, Oscar Brown was a kid in this neighborhood when I started coming here, and now he's like the leader of this facility and all the different families. So it's a really amazing kind of, certain points in your life where multiple things come together. That's happening today.
Yeah, it's we were talking with Tim Tebow. I mean, just about seeing these kids and putting a smile on their face, getting a chance to play with these guys that are, big time athletes, and the dynamic of, these guys wanting to give back. They don't have to do this. They don't have to be here. And to me, that's the good in the world. There's so much bad in the world, the good in the world. It's so good to see that in college athletics.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's a lot of storylines going around, and we got transfer portals and NILs and the stories of NBA players going back to college, which I don't know what's happening there. But it's like there's so much, and then you see a group of people that they're football players, but their mission is so much bigger than that. They want to give back. They want to make the world better for people. And just even last night, hearing the different things that they were a part of as each one of them shared was so inspiring for me. And then for the kids in this neighborhood to get a chance to, before we even started, they're out there playing catch and they're all running around, and then to kind of be a part of the camp and be a part of the Q&A and kind of listen to what makes these guys tick. A lot of times kids in a neighborhood like this, all they can think about is getting out and being an athlete or maybe being a musician. But then when you hear from some of these athletes that are saying, no, there's more to life than just what's on the field, that's a pretty special thing.
It really is. You talk about special. We got to talk with Michael Taft from Texas a couple weeks ago, the guy who won the Allstate Wuerffel Trophy this year. Just a guy that embodies that, having his hand in so many different things of wanting to give back. Lost a close friend to fentanyl, and then of course with the floods in Texas and all that. Just a guy that embodies. When I heard his name, I was like, oh yeah, makes total sense.
We're so proud of Michael. I mean, what he's done, the way he carries himself on the field, in the classroom, but more importantly for us in the community, has just been actually remarkable. But again, it wasn't an easy vote. I mean, you had so many guys that were doing amazing stuff that are part of this Good Works team, and then you've got beyond that, there's 116 nominees on the Division I level, and then more when you broaden that. So just there's so much good happening out there, and I love that Allstate has made a commitment to highlight that, to spotlight that. That's been my mission for a long time, which is why we're working together, the foundation and Allstate, to shine a light on what these guys are doing and hopefully encourage and inspire other people to do a little bit more.
Talking with the great Danny Wuerffel. Be remiss if we didn't talk some football quickly. Saw you were over there in Gainesville. John Summerall introduced. What did you think of the hire?
Well, I love John Summerall. I was asked by our athletic director to be a part of that search, so it was new to me, flying around the country quietly and sneaking around to talk to different people. But man, he was somebody that at the beginning I really didn't know a lot about, but as we interviewed him and got to know him, was super impressive, incredible leader, and just a really smart guy. I love the coordinators that he's brought in at Florida. That's a great sign. So we're real hopeful, as any team is when they have a new coach. we'll see what happens on the field, but I really like John a ton.
It's always that weird time, too, because when you make a coaching change, you're going to lose guys on the roster. They're going to go into the portal. I mean, this is the age we live in now. So I've been telling Florida, LSU, and Auburn fans, look, don't freak out. 20 guys heading into the portal. Like, this is just the new age of college athletics.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that part of it, but it is the reality that we live in, and you gotta kind of manage your roster more on a year-to-year basis versus kind of on a long-term program level like a lot of coaches were used to doing. So it's different. It's stressful when you're living it and you see guys you like that are leaving, but it's a weird world.
I saw you were, of course, up in New York for the Heisman ceremony. Fernando Mendoza, again, a guy who's not here, but man, a guy who just seems like a really, really good dude.
Yeah, man, really impressed with Fernando. Made some incredible plays on the field, and where Indiana is unbelievable. And for him to kind of be hoisting up the Heisman Trophy as a quarterback for Indiana, I don't think anybody would have thought. And he's a tremendous, tremendous young man. And I do think, like a lot of these guys, he's very worthy of what he's done off the field as well.
Last thing for you, talking with Danny Wuerffel, and of course, we're here part of the Sugar Bowl as we are every year, and Georgia Ole Miss, a rematch of a game we saw a couple weeks ago. You got a thought, feel on this game?
Yeah, I mean, you got two really good teams. There's been a lot of transition, obviously more at Ole Miss here recently. Kirby Smart has just a way of figuring out how to win these games, and I think, with the transitions and some of the uncertainty at Ole Miss, I think they're probably not going to be able to play as good as they did last time, and that wasn't good enough then. So if I had to bet, I'd bet on Georgia, or I wouldn't bet against Kirby.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see who wins this one, and of course, it's so much stakes on the line here as a playoff quarterfinal, and we'll see who advances. Danny, one more time, I want to give a shout out to Allstate, and of course the AFCA Good Works team and the Allstate Wuerffel Trophy. Continue doing all the great work, man. It's always good to see you, and it's always fun to see all these kids and the community come together here.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll be back right after this.
All right, thanks again to Tim Tebow. Our thanks again to Danny Wuerffel, to the GOATs, and our thanks to the folks at Allstate for helping make that possible. Hopefully you guys enjoyed those conversations. Of course, we're going to keep you up to date with all the latest happening with the SEC and the transfer portal as it all unfolds. There's going to be plenty of news over these next 2 weeks. Thank you guys for tuning in to Locked On SEC. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On SEC to get all the latest episodes. If you want to do the YouTube channel, great. You can get all the video versions of the show every day. If you just want to do the audio version, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, subscribe to Locked On SEC and catch us each and every day. I'm telling you guys, it's going to be chock full of information these next 2 weeks on all the latest happenings in the transfer portal. So make sure you stay up to date. And hey, a reminder, if Locked On SEC made your Spotify Wrapped, you can prove it on social media to secure a free month of our brand new Everydayer Club. Just tag our national Locked On Podcast Network account on any social platform, and we'll drop you a code. Be one of the first to join the Everydayer Club to get your favorite show ad-free and exclusive access to the members-only Discord channel. And hey, a reminder, check us out simulcast daily on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. For any of our listeners who live in Louisiana, Mississippi, or Alabama, catch us weekdays at 11:30 Central on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network, home of the New Orleans Pelicans and home of Locked On SEC. I'm Chris Gordy. This has been Locked On SEC. We'll talk to you guys on Monday.